Hey, Miles here at Tactical Hyve, and welcome back to the live fire session this week of how to shoot a pistol accurately. And we're working on part 2 here, where we're managing that energy, managing that momentum, and when you're pushing out your pistol to break that shot. A lot of people, as I discussed in the dry fire video, they put too much force, they put it on the handbrake at the very end, and they disrupt their sights. I shared 3 things that you can look out for in dry fire. One is without even pressing the trigger, just to really push out, and at the last 10% let your sights or your gun just kind of glide in over your target, and pay attention to the movement of your sights, and it should just be really smooth rather than disrupted. Second iteration was to actually pull your trigger on there, so now combining another motion, okay, and we don't do that in the beginning because you don't want to be overwhelmed. And the third drill was to use a paper target, something like this that has a little give, to see if you're pushing it too much, all right? So now what we're going to do is the live fire exercises to validate this. And fortunately, it's rather simple here, because a lot of it is just picking any target that you want, and you need to be conscious of when you present out, are your sights moving up and down? Did your red dot overshoot the target, okay? And that is going to be a pure indicator of, you know, if you still haven't really mastered yet the momentum of your pushing out, okay, of your pistol, your firearm. And it's actually identical to dry fire, but as I've mentioned, a lot of people, as soon as you start shooting live rounds, you know, for some reason people change. They can't think straight. So let's go down to the targets here. I'm going to demonstrate exactly what we're doing for live fire. Okay, so just like last week, I have a target here about 7 yards, and use any distance you want, whatever target you want, whatever is appropriate for your skill level, and you're going to be focusing more on what you see with your eyes in terms of your red dot or your iron sights, rather than the shot placement itself. We don't worry, you know, we don't want to worry too much about that just now, because if your sights are all over the place, that is going to make you landing your shot harder. And if your sights are moving all over the place and you land the shot still, you could have just gotten lucky, right? So that's not what we're looking for. We're not looking for luck, we're looking for skill here, right? Repeatability, consistency. So I'm gonna load and make ready and then talk this over here. And there are 2 things that I want to really hone in on. The first is going to be simple, exactly what I was talking about here is, you're going to punch out as quickly as you can, and you can start off slowly first, okay? Get comfortable here. And what you're going to be doing is looking at a specific part of that target and see, as you punch out, if your, I'm going to exaggerate here, if your red dot or your iron sights, it goes beyond that and you have to go back down. What does that already mean? You failed to manage the energy or the momentum appropriately. So that's the first thing we're looking out for here, is I'm going to be really honed in on my target, but also I'm going to be using my vision to see what's happening with my sights. I'm going to do this one incorrectly, where I go up and down. Okay, so I landed the shot, but it was after my sights went down. And I'm exaggerating here, okay? And if you have trouble seeing this on your own first-person view, then what you can do is you can get a video camera, put it on your side, your iPhone, put it on a tripod, put it on slow-mo to see, okay? So the idea here is, I want to manage my momentum. So I went too far. I did like 110%, and then I had to come back down and correct. So what I'm gonna do is, at about here, this position, my 90%, I'm gonna let the last 10% glide. So I'm here, and you could start off slow. Maybe I'll go like 50%. So I just glided up at the last 10%. So the first thing here is make sure you're not overshooting. Now, the second thing we want to look out for is, yes, you do know that you need to manage the momentum of your sights. You shouldn't overshoot or even undershoot your target. But what happens is, when people start doing this fast, they begin to actually do more point shooting, okay? What happens is they build a habit where it's just now muscle memory, where they're no longer really paying attention to whether their sights are overlaid on that target properly, okay? Now, I don't want to go into the weeds, and remember, this is kind of a beginner series here. There's a lot of things we can talk about, okay? And I'm not going to talk about everything. But the idea here is that you should be still picking up information from your front sight or your iron sights or your red dot before you break the shot. We are not point shooting here, but it is very easy for beginners to just fall down that path when doing this. Okay, so it's very important that you do these reps slowly and methodically. What do I mean by that? Okay, this is what you do not want to do, okay? I don't want you punching out I'm not even hitting the plate right now because again, I'm not taking in any information. But let's just say that you are going at that pace, getting lucky, hitting all of your shots. It doesn't mean you're doing it correctly because you could just be getting lucky, or the target is so big, or you're so close, a combination of that. What I want you to do is single reps. And the idea is I punch out, break the shot, and I'm going to pause, make sure I have a prep trigger. I'm not going to snatch my gun back like those previous reps where it was like robotic, okay? I'm going to look at my target. All right, from here, I'm going to punch out, break the shot, stop, and think about things. I'm on a prep trigger. My sights are on target for a follow-up shot, finger off the trigger, then I go back. And before I broke the shot, I made sure I had some information from my front sight. Remember, this is not just shooting blindly at all. I have a good sight picture on my target, okay? So I can see my sights or my red dot on the target. It doesn't have to be crystal clear. You can be target focused. Now, if you don't even understand what I'm talking about there, don't even worry about it. Like I said, we can go really deep into this, but the main thing is this: do not shoot blindly. You should see your target, you should see your sights lined up, then break the shot. So one more time here, I'm going to punch out, prep my trigger, I'm looking at my target, and I saw everything there. I have a prep trigger, finger out the trigger, and I'm back. So that wraps up part 2 to increasing the speed from compress ready to presentation and breaking that shot. For this particular live fire session, the 2 things that I really want you to pay attention to, remember, are your sights overshooting the target and maybe even undershooting. Manage that momentum appropriately by going very quick the first 90%, then glide the last 10%. Next is, don't just do this robotically. Make sure you're seeing your sights or your red dot on every single shot, okay? Don't just point shoot. And make sure you're having proper follow through. This should be single reps, not just like this a sewing machine here where you might just get lucky because just of the motion here, okay? As you begin to do this a lot of reps and it seems very easy, change the distance, get a little bit further, change the size of the target, or do a combination, all right? Well, I hope you guys liked the video, and we're gonna be continuing this series next week. Make sure to tune in on Monday for the dry fire and then Thursday for the live fire. As always, please like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next week.